Hey guys, everything new in the sun here. Got my 2007 Dodge Caliber up on the car ramps. Doing some muffler work. I figured I'd take you along for the ride. It's not really a ride. Won't be riding anywhere. Got to fix the muffler. So the problem is the muffler came, or detached itself, rusted out from the manifold. So let's get underneath. I'll show you what's going on. Alrighty, we're here in confined quarters underneath the car here. This is the catalytic converter, if I can point to it there. And of course it goes on down here, down to the end. Nothing wrong with that section of the muffler. But the problem is, if you can see up there, it's just bouncing around. If I wiggle the muffler, it's just kind of hanging in and out of the manifold there. If I take you up here, you can see the same thing. I hope you can see it there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this section off because I don't want to deal with the whole muffler. I don't want to fiddle with the whole muffler. The rest of the muffler is fine, and I can't even get these. If I can't even get these rubber things off, and I don't think I need to. I think it's going to be quickest and easiest. So I'm just going to chop the muffler right here with my converted Black & Decker Sawzall that uses Makita batteries. Did a video on that before on how to convert your old Black & Decker 18-volt NiCad stuff over to Makita lithium ion. So I'm gonna chop the muffler right here, and then this is a nice place where I can insert a union that just kind of wraps over top of it, and then I can tack weld that there, and that'll be fine. But this will allow me to get away from, I won't have to remove that rubber hanger there. It's a little rusty anyways, I don't want to touch it. And it'll basically allow me to remove this whole section of muffler out so that I can actually look at the end. And I've got a couple of muffler pieces here, which I'm going to try fitting to see which fits best. And I could probably tack weld it to the manifold. Now I know you're not supposed to do that, but this is only this is a hack. This is just to get through the wait till the truck leaves there. This is just a measure to get past the next inspection, basically. Well, not more than that, because we have some fumes getting into our car because of the steering boot there that you see right in front of you. That got all twisted and it's not really sealing very well. So some exhaust fumes get in here, and mainly because the exhaust is just going right past the exhaust pipe, right into the manifold, and so the car is really loud. So I need to remedy that one way or another, either just by tack welding this back up in there, or, like I said, I could push this up here and just tack weld it in there, but there's lots of space around the outside that's not filled in. So the other option is I could use one of these converters, and maybe this is a better fit to go up, slide up inside the manifold there. How's it going? Mangled my finger up. That's fun. Got the muffler cut. Finally. This is tight quarters. It'll be much easier if this were on a jack. Alright, now I need to take the catalytic converter sensors out. See if I can get them out of the muffler so I can get this piece out here. Now you may think it's drastic to cut this part of the muffler out, but hey, it wasn't doing anything anyways. It was completely out of the manifold, so it really wasn't doing me any good. So let's get to work. Alright guys, I cut the muffler section out. There's the cut section. Probably not totally in focus, but I cut it there. Should be able to put an easy union on there. And there's the part where it's the manifold, where it's busted out of. So it's just completely rusted off there. I don't know how this is supposed to wiggle, or my brain doesn't work. I'm not sure how it's supposed to move or be tied to the engine without being solid. I again, my brain's not working right now. I don't know how it's supposed to be flexible. So I assume there must have been a rubber ring in there that was holding it in, and that has fallen out. So I'm just left with jagged metal here around the outside. We'll take a look at the catalytic converter in a sec. I'm just seeing what's in here. Feels like there's a bendable. Huh. You know, if that's a bendable thing. Where's the flashlight? Is that a bendable thing? It is too. If that's a bendable thing, I could probably stick something inside that and bridge the gap between that and the muffler and stick it back on. There's a flexible hose in there, the center one. Sorry if my hand is shaking, it's upside down. Flexible hose there, so I could probably bridge the gap with a flexible hose again, and maybe that would suffice. I don't know if that comes in standard sizes. Here's the piece I was talking about. And it wouldn't really fit snug there. Oh, that might be enough if I just get it tight there. There is a backing there that's kind of springy. If I kind of give it some tension, that might quiet it down enough. Press it in there with some tension. Maybe I can get some muffler tape and put the muffler tape around the rim of the joint here. And that, like I said, that might just be enough to just give it a little bit of tension. Pressing against that, it's a little bit springy in there. Maybe that's how it was held in there before anyways. So just a bit more length on the muffler basically, so that the muffler itself can hold itself tight. And I'll put maybe some muffler tape around that to further muffle it. Guys, I think that'll work. But I have to think about my other options here. Let's get out from under the car and just take a look at the catalytic converter. Alright guys, here's my catalytic converter out under the sun. It's got a couple of heat sensors, thermo sensors, temperature sensors, whatever. And to determine the exhaust gas temperature. And so I guess it tunes the engine accordingly. The motor computer, the engine computer, will tune the engine accordingly so that the exhaust gas stays at optimum levels. I guess that's what it's doing. I don't know. So what I'm thinking here, guys, is I think I'm going to cut the collar off here and put a new collar on. So I may need to get rid of this sensor here. I don't know what the engine does without it, but I'm not sure that I care anyways in terms of efficiency or whatever. I'm not sure I really care. I just want to muffle the noise, i.e. get the muffler doing what it was meant to do in the first place, and go from there. So I did mention there was some flexible hose in there. So the other option is to jam some flexible hose in here that's the same width and get that up into the other flexible hose. I don't know if you can do that. So I'll think about it for a second and get back to you. Oh, one of the options was to cut that piece off and put this piece in place basically. That would probably work. Just for fun, guys, let's hear what the car sounds like with no muffler stuck in the manifold. This would be pretty loud. It sounds like a smash-up derby car. Sounds pretty cool. Okay guys, here's what I think is going to work. I'm going to take this joiner. This edge is going to sit on the manifold around the exhaust hole basically. The exhaust hole is actually smaller. And I'm going to fit this on here, on the end. Although I'm going to cut this shorter so it's sitting more like that. And I'm gonna weld this, so I'm gonna get my welder out, weld that up, and then what I'll do is I'll get some exhaust tape, put it around there, maybe around the edge, just to muffle the noise a bit more, add a bit more thickness and bulk around there, just to further seal it. And then I'm going to basically, I'll get a union to the other end of it there. I may have to cut it shorter. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to fix this to the manifold, which is perfect because you don't want to do that. You want it to be flexible so that the engine can move a little bit, because the engine's on its own rubber grommets, obviously. So you don't want it permanently fixed, which is my problem. I thought I was going to weld it. So this, I think this will work out. So I'm going to use the rubber hangers that actually hold the muffler in place to actually push it or tension it towards the engine to kind of give it a, I'm going to what's the word? I'm going to preload it so that there's lots of pressure this way from the rubber hangers pushing it onto the engine, keeping that joint tight. And so I don't mind a little bit of extra length here than stock, because I'm going to actually stretch that rubber grommet, pull it back from the engine, and then slide this guy into place so it's firm. It's not going to be super tight, but it's going to be firm up against the motor, bumped up against the motor in its casing there. So I'm going to get to work. I'm going to cut this with my Sawzall, and then I'm going to weld this piece on. I'll have to get my wire brush this a little bit. This preserves my sensors, which I don't think work anyways, but this preserves the sensors, and I've got enough room there. This is a 1/4 inch or so. Enough room there. That's plenty to allow me to weld it around, and for it to be a sufficient enough joint there. And then I do need a joiner on there as well, a coupler, so that I can actually attach it. So I'll probably need to make a trip in town with the engine the way it is, real nice and loud. So that'll be fun. But then I just need tape and a coupler there on the end, and I think that will work for this project. I think that will work fairly good. So we'll find out. Okay guys, here's my finished creation. Got some exhaust tape here to thicken it, cover some gaps and create a bit of a soft edge there. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but we'll try it. Got my flange welded on there. I'm going to, I've got a coupler here that I'm going to put over, and it appears to hold in place even at welding, so I think it's should work out. So I'm going to try and put it in place. I got my sensors back. So we'll put it in place. I won't even weld it in place. I'm just going to see if it works, because to see if it muffles it enough. We'll see. Alright guys, got a muffler here. Got my coupler. Coupler goes on this end. Needs to be welded. And then the muffler goes up in here. And let's see if I can jam it on there. I think I took it off enough. Oh boy. Well, that's a nice fit. That is a nice fit. Perfect. This is working real well, guys. This might just work. There we go, slid into place. Now that's holding it right there. The coupler is holding it in place. It's in about that far. I'll need to weld this. And then up at that end, you can see the tape there. The tape is just adding some cushion, to fill the space. And apparently, as it heats up, it's supposed to solidify. So we'll see if that happens. So I don't know if you can see it better from there. Let's So it's just kind of keeping it in place from wobbling, and hopefully when I heat it up, that should all solidify and just maybe make a better seal. I don't know. It's just trying that. So I'm actually going to fire it up as is and just see if that's going to work. I'll just get it up to temperature here. If that works, like, I probably don't even need to weld this, because this is compressed in there pretty good. I think what I'll do is I'll probably put a couple tack welds on it, just so it doesn't go anywhere. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully it's in focus. But you see this hanger is pushed back. It's kind of pushing the whole thing that way, holding the muffler up in the top here. I don't know how sustainable that is, but this only needs to last. It's not a super permanent fix, and I have some options. If I do break the hanger, this thing right here, I can always buy a new one and hang it back up. And then I've already got the end on there, so that end's not going to rust out real soon. So I'll be able to actually... It's not going to be too rusty that I can't work with it, so I can pull it back off. And that's actually a key in favor of, an item in favor of actually not tack welding this at the mediator, and at least not fully welding it. It's pretty sturdy. It's holding it pretty good actually, because everything's compressed. So, all right, I'm going to start this up, and we'll see how it sounds. All right, this will be sound test with the muffler fix in place. Maybe I'll try and put these clips side by side, and we'll see how it goes. The camera's about the same distance away from the car. Start it up and rev the engine a couple times, and to see what the noise level's like. Two things we need to suppress. We need to muffle the noise, hence the muffler, and we need to prevent fumes getting into the cabin. Those are the two main goals of the project and the two main purposes of a muffler. So let's get to it. Look guys, that's like brand new. That did a massive amount of good. That completely changed the sound of the engine, obviously. And it looks like all the exhaust is flowing through. I feel exhaust on the back end here. Just go over to the back. Take the camera off. And of course, we want to make sure that it's actually forcing air through the exhaust. And it is indeed. So there's the exhaust coming out the exhaust again. Isn't that a novel sort of idea? Exhaust coming out the exhaust. And this car is as quiet pretty much as it was new. Now, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know how loud it was new, but that is a huge difference. Huge difference. I would say that is a job well done. Bit of a hack. Probably cost me about $100 in parts by the time I ran out of flux core welder wire feed wire. That was 35 bucks, and I had to get a wire wheel so that I could grind down some of the metal for welding. And then of course the couplers and the other pieces for the thing are, you know, $5-6 bucks a piece. So all in all, I think that's going to work. I'm going to let the engine get warmed up because it's got to do its thing to that tape on the muffler. Apparently that's got to get up to heat, and you're supposed to leave the engine running for 30 minutes or something to get up to temperature to I guess it actually dries up the epoxy. There's epoxy resin or something in the tape that I put on there, so it's supposed to harden solid. So I'm hoping that will actually work and kind of help just to seal it. And the extra, I put two packages of that the tape on there to kind of fill the gap, because there was a larger gap that the pipe went into. So it just fills a bit more area, prevents a bit more escape of exhaust gases. But I think that's it, guys. I think that's a job well done. And this car is way quieter now. Very, very cool. I'm very impressed with that. Very happy with that result. All right, guys. I'm gonna leave it there. I won't bother showing you. I might tack weld the coupler there. I won't bother showing it to you. But I think this is a success. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video.